It's time we talked. The idea of the internet as a free source of information is truly amazing, but nothing's really free. And the hidden or not so hidden cost of keeping this whole thing running is that we have to put up with ads. Now, chances are, over the course of the last 18 months or so, you've noticed some changes in advertisements on YouTube, specifically with ads using consumer-level AI tools to create the ads themselves. When I started seeing these, I felt like I was witnessing the birth of a new era in video advertising. So based on that feeling, I wanted to document how these tools were evolving and how they were being used and, in many cases, abused in a context that we're all very familiar with. The result is a catalog of videos from the last year and a half that I think demonstrates how AI tools and the way that we've used them have drastically evolved, even in such a short amount of time. So I'm going to go through these videos in chronological order, and I've organized them into 3 ages where all the videos kind of revolve around a single defining idea or trait. But as I'm going through these videos and pointing things out, I have a disclaimer. I am not an expert in analyzing AI, nor am I an expert in the legal and ethical ramifications of AI, nor am I an expert in advertising psychology, nor am I an expert in legal. But like the famously unplagiaristic internet historian once said, these days you can say,
"You're not an expert," and that kind of gives you carte blanche to just say whatever.
I'm stealing that. This is just my perspective as someone who is interested in this kind of thing, and it's a documentation of my personal experience, which really is what the internet and advertising is now. We're all just having our own personalized experiences. So, to start off by getting very personal, the first age of AI ads sits squarely in the realm of what the internet does best. Now, I got so many of these in the first half of 2024, but I think it was mainly because I was kind of unwittingly creating my own advertising feedback loop. You see, with each of these ads, I was watching them in their entirety because I didn't know at the time that there's a feature on YouTube where you can go through your entire history and see everything, including the ads that you're viewing, and then download the videos. If I had known that, it would have been really easy to catalog these, but because I didn't, what I had to do in order to catalog these was first recognize that I was getting an AI ad, pause the video, get a screen recorder going, and then watch the video in its entirety from that point to the end. Then you have to factor in that I only get YouTube ads on my phone, and I only have YouTube on my phone when I'm driving.
That's the fear, and that's the question is,
I have a special hack that I do every morning. It's called horse Viagra.
So with all these, I've lost the first couple of seconds, but that's okay because you'll notice that they all have very similar things to say anyway. Now, I assume that because YouTube or these advertisers were noticing that I was engaging with these ads so much, it just kept giving me more. So there may have been other kinds of AI ads that were being thrown around in these early days, but these were the ones that I was getting. So let's look at this first one. There's not much to it really, but it's gonna set the tone nicely for everything else.
Your tongue before getting busy, and it'll keep you rock hard and going for hours. I had to see if what he said was true, so I did some digging. Turns out it's legit.
Right, so this very helpful young lady is telling us about a fungus, of all things, that gets you rock hard and going for hours. I'm not too concerned about using the language that was utilized in these ads, because if it's appropriate for advertisers, I don't see why it's not appropriate for me. Anyway, it's a pretty run-of-the-mill, this one easy trick doubles your size scam, and it's so obviously a scam, because as we all know, the only way to really double your size is to subscribe to this channel. But if you noticed, it started out with footage of what at that time was almost certainly real footage of a real person taken from what I assume is a podcast, because full-on video generation wasn't exactly a thing at that point, at least not at the consumer level. So in doing so, they're attempting to make this scam ad itself seem like it's been clipped out of a podcast. And this is certainly, I think, a change in the traditional kind of more formal characteristics of advertising, where scammers try to make their ad look as professional as possible in order to give it a sense of credibility. But now that one of the biggest sources of content online is video podcasts, which have a very low bar for entry as far as owning or renting professional video and audio equipment, it's trying to blend into that new ecosystem.
Click the button for it's got on in the next 20 minutes. You won't regret it.
This one mainly just shows you what to expect though, since there's not much here really other than some chromatic aberration on what's probably AI captioning that makes me feel like I have cataracts. And there's this moment too that I kind of like.
Honestly, it might not taste amazing, but the results speak for themselves.
See, I like that. They're kind of like building a little bit of a concession in there to appease the skeptics and to make it seem a little more candid, like you're actually hearing from a real person.
If you're over 40 and have trouble being ready when she is, I have great news for you.
Okay, here we go. So it's a similar format as the last one, but something that you'll hopefully notice right away is that they're attempting lip sync, which is still pretty primitive at this point, and it looks a little like a talking animal Hallmark movie, but it's a new layer of deception to make this probably stolen footage seem like it's tailor-made just for this ad. But when you take footage of somebody talking and you try to put different words on top of that, their facial expressions and their mannerisms are still going to match what they were originally saying. So when you keep those facial expressions but you change the words, it's gonna look monstrous.
Men born after 1950 have a vascular intruder that causes a mysterious blockage in the veins, leading to improper blood flow.
You might have also noticed that this isn't a single unbroken clip. There's lots of cuts, but the lip sync continues through the cuts. You can try to do this in real life, but it doesn't work very well.
Now that the real cause has been discovered, Nobel Prize winning scientists have also found a 100% natural and fast solution to combat this issue.
Yeah, and so bringing up that these vascular intruders are like this Nobel Prize winning discovery is a big red flag, because they're trying to make it sound credible, but they're overcompensating, which is fitting. Also, now that we've moved on from primarily text-based advertising to video, I gotta wonder, who is this? Also, where did this footage come from? I have to imagine that it's just stolen. Just forget about it. I'm sure it's not gonna be a problem in future videos.
Because of that, they stuff themselves with blue pills, risking their lives, and still end up with a limp noodle.
Right, so this one has lip sync that seems to be a little more advanced. Like, it's pretty good at vowel-heavy words. When you have hard consonants, you get a little bit of that jello mouth going on.
At 62, he still puts younger guys to shame. All he does is follow a simple recipe with salt and 2 other ingredients every night before bed.
This one also has quite a bit of cutting, and some of the cuts are on time. Others aren't.
Now, he leaves me breathless and with stiff legs after making me reach climax multiple times in a row.
So the editing of the clips to match the new voice and the mouth are becoming a little more realistic, but who knows how intentional that was. Now with this script that was generated or potentially written by a human, although I doubt it, it's really starting to emphasize euphemisms to kind of skirt around the more explicit aspects of what they're talking about. And because of that, I like to imagine that somebody with no perception of context is gonna view this and just interpret everything literally.
Now, he leaves me breathless and with stiff legs after making me reach climax multiple times in a row. Just walking from the kitchen to the bed turns his little buddy into a raging anaconda.
This was also the first one where I noticed a trend that I'm gonna call censor grifting.
But I can't show you how to make it here because the platform prohibits such content. It's very hot stuff, and if I show it here, it will be taken down in a minute.
It's appealing to an audience that is used to heavy censorship on YouTube, and it appeals to some of the frustration that some people likely feel about that, but it's just hijacking that emotion to try and push you to their website. And we're gonna see a lot more of that in some of these other videos.
Never share this secret with anyone. Did you wake up this morning with a tent pitched? The secret to making your manhood down there as powerful and stiff as a steel rod is to do a simple 15-second trick before bed.
So I have to assume at this point that there is a human stepping in during the final edit, because we've got lots of cutaways and they've got graphics overlaid on top. The problem is that it's this.
This trick was discovered over 2,000 years ago by the Spaniards to boost the breeding power of their horses.
So I don't know, with the anime lines, is it reflective of what kind of audience they're attempting to appeal to, or is it just reflective of general internet brain rot where you just throw that graphic over everything? Maybe that's the same question, to be honest. But at the very least, it's another step towards a more informal advertising style. Lots of traditional ads have adopted humorous or hyperbolic tones to the point where it seems like that's the only thing they know how to do these days. But this one definitely feels like it's starting to understand young people who use the internet a little better.
Adult film stars have been using this for years to keep their tools firm and large.
But the hyperbolic use of like steel pipes and steel rods is just so off-putting.
This 15-second trick can give any man the ability to turn his limp noodle into something resembling a powerful steel pipe. Plus, no matter your age, whether your little soldier has been out of commission for a while, this 15-second trick dilates the veins in your friend, enlarging your manhood and giving you a solid tent.
And the further you go along, the script kind of starts to break down a little bit. Like you have that moment where she says,
"This simple trick will send a wave of energy and desire throughout your entire body, through every vein, right down to the tip of each of your members."
Like, even in the context of this ad, I'm not entirely sure what that's supposed to mean. Now, the ending of this also supports my theory that there was a human kind of tangentially involved in the making of this video, because it ends with what I assume is just leftover footage.
To watch, just click the blue button below.
I think it's pretty revealing about the people that make these ads, or to a larger extent, maybe the people that use these tools, because they're relying on the tool themselves to give their end product polish. But whenever the real quality of their work kind of slips through, it's clear that they're just a bunch of amateurs.
Wild animal, like a horse. And this guy is almost 3 times my age.
So this one is fully starting to commit to the podcast format because it's also including other guests that have their own voices and lines.
And he responded, well, healthy eating helps, and said something like that.
Come on, there's got to be something else.
I can see how this would potentially fool somebody into thinking that it's real because they are really sticking to that podcast format.
Yeah, scared of my reaction and losing me, he finally confessed. Well, I have a special hack that I do every morning. It's called horse Viagra. Don't laugh, it's serious.
Don't laugh, it's serious.
I did some research on this and also found a video from the owner of a brothel for women revealing exactly what it is, how to do it at home, and why it works so well for male escorts.
And do you have the video?
No. So either as a symptom of the edit or a symptom of the voice model that was used, the audio for this is wildly all over the place. But let's see what the video is that they're talking about.
And do you have the video?
Yeah, I think I have it.
Guys, can you play it for us?
I was ugly. But after that horse Viagra from my friend Terry, I got a 7.7 toy that made my name a topic in my wife's group of friends this week.
So you get odd little mistakes that are, I think, indicative of this being either translated from a foreign language or just being the result of an imperfect text generation model.
I'm not that pretty, but I gained 3 inches in 2 weeks, and now I'm the talk of my wife's wives, even though now I understand why the owners of these adult homes don't want anyone to know about this. I'll leave the link to the video with the recipe here for everyone at home.
Is it possible to leave it for the people watching us somewhere or on a button on the screen? Do you already have the button? Oh, wonderful.
So when I first watched this, I thought she was kind of communicating to like an off-screen podcast editor, you know? But I think what's actually happening is that the text model that generated this script, presumably, didn't understand that the video that they cut to and the podcast are technically 2 different things. I think it interpreted it as all being within the same context. So I think she's communicating with the guy in the video.
I'll leave the link to the video with the recipe here for everyone at home.
Is it possible to leave it for the people watching us somewhere?
So the whole thing just doesn't understand context very well. But whatever the voice model is just kind of like breaks down and degrades by the end. And that's something that we see in a lot of these, especially around this time.
Don't waste time. Click on the button and go watch it now. And be careful as the video has hot scenes. Click right now.
In the US backstage, I would always see the actors taking a weird beverage before their long recording session.
This is definitely one of the jankiest ones. It seems like we're evolving backwards in a couple of ways. But there is still some progress in some areas. Like the AI mouth is still a little weird, but when you have a lot of those hard consonants that I was talking about, this one seems like it's handling it a little better, at least to my eyes.
Within seconds, their buddy transformed into a steel bar and stayed that way for hours of filming.
There's also a lot of what looks like some kind of image sharpening, or I might be interpreting it wrong, but maybe there's like an entirely different AI face on somebody's real face. And that makes this look really weird. But pay attention to the lip sync. To me, it looks like it's getting better, especially when you compare it to the guy from the previous video.
I'm not that pretty.
Also, they only had about 10 seconds of this guy, so they just play it in reverse and then play it back forward, you know, the old Tuscan Raider trick. But the problem is that there's a ton of people moving around in the background, and so whenever they reverse it, you see them walking in reverse. So it ends up with this really kind of almost like unintentionally surreal quality.
It's a mix that can be made with 3 ingredients from your kitchen, and it increases blood flow to your Johnson, making it hard and solid as steel for hours.
Johnson?
So we're also censor grifting again as well, you know, saying that like, oh, the platform prohibits this kind of content, so you have to go to my external website.
So take advantage of it now, because if they see this and ask me to take it down, I'll have to do it. And if this video gets to you, it'll definitely get to them. And I don't want to lose.
Is he turning into a frog?
So click the button I left there while you still can.
Oh, and then it just immediately cuts off. Oh, but the link on this one, it's so weird. It says Arab Sheiks. I'm not sure that's the kind of steel pipe that he was talking about.
Now she is addicted to my anaconda.
All that it fits in the palm of my hand. It was very difficult for me to go on top because it would always slip out.
Okay, yeah. So this one is by far the most explicit. It's really bad. I struggle to think of a universe in which this was deemed appropriate, you know, for advertisers just advertising on just any run-of-the-mill YouTube video. I may just have to cut through most of this. Yeah. Okay, so if this person's out there and they didn't know that this amalgam of AI nightmares are showing this to hundreds of thousands of people potentially, I can only imagine how that's going to impact them.
That's my advice to anyone listening to this podcast. Can you leave the free video for them, editor? Okay, so in order to help you, my editor will leave the link to the video.
This one is really trying to push the fact that it's a podcast because she's communicating to like an off-screen editor.
Can you leave the free video for them, editor? Okay.
Now, as far as how this AI voice generation is kind of evolving over time, because we've been going for a couple of months now, I think the voice has much more natural inflection. There's even some kind of like pauses for thought, you know, like I'm doing right now, and kind of the natural ups and downs and emphases that we have when we're talking for real.
Click the button for it's gone in the next 20 minutes. You won't regret it.
That's my advice to anyone listening to this podcast.
So we've moved on from censor grifting, and now we've gone into full-blown conspiracy grifting.
This video will be going down any minute from now because the giants in the male health industry don't want you to see this method because it's turning their profits to dust. But I'm risking and exposing myself to help other relationships.
After the level of detail that she went into, I don't think that exposing yourself is really necessary.
Me and drove me crazy for 3 straight hours. It was incredible.
All right, so I'm going to try and go through these next couple of ones a little bit faster because it's starting to get really repetitive.
It doesn't matter your age, medical condition, or how severe the problem is. This solution is for you.
So the mouth sync is pretty good, but it looks like it's at a different frame rate than the video, which gives it a very uncanny feeling. So even though the technology is evolving, it's not understanding how to integrate itself more convincingly into footage that already exists.
This 15-second salt trick increases blood flow to your member by 342%. A simple mix of 2 ingredients made him stay hard for hours and even added up to 5 inches.
We're down to 2 ingredients now. Is it 3 or 2? I need to know. Asking for a friend.
I feel like the most fulfilled wife in the world. All thanks to the simple mix he uses just once a day.
In all of these, I really like when they're talking and the eyes look off camera to something. They always look really nervous, like someone's like holding them hostage just off frame.
According to over 12,000 testimonials, this formula works even better for men over 40.
Over 40, yeah. So we're pretty strongly identifying the demographic that these kind of ads are aimed towards. And I think that I'm getting them because I mostly only watch Mark Felton and Red Letter Media videos.
No matter your age, you'll always be ready for action and wake up with a tent pitched.
So the fact that, yeah, that phrase is coming up multiple times as well is really pointing to all of this being, I think, generated from a similar script or a similar prompt, or at least the same source.
I went wild with me for 2 straight hours. It might sound strange, but your wife or girlfriend will thank you for watching this video.
Yeah, so this is the one I remember where I started to be both really impressed and a little freaked out by the quality of the lip sync and the quality of the voice.
And all they do is a simple 15-second honey trick that can be done at home. Bizarre, right?
Now, you still have the same absurd, crazy things being said, but this was the first one where it took me a minute to recognize the signs. First of all, whatever created the mouth understands the lighting shifts as she moves her head. All of the subjects up to this point have been pretty flatly lit with not a lot of movement, but this subject is very animated and expressive, and you have some very strong overhead, almost like Gordon Willis style lighting, and she's moving in and out of the light as she moves, and the fake mouth that they put on her more or less matches the lighting shifts. It's a subtle detail, but it's one that our brains are instinctively trained to notice, and we really notice when it's not there.
I did some research about it and found that hundreds of men have been using this honey trick for years, and I can't help but wonder why the hell it hasn't gone viral yet.
And as far as the voice, they nailed how onboard audio sounds in an echoey room, and maybe that is a happy accident that has to deal with the quality of the voice generation at this point.
It works because it boosts an enzyme in men's bodies called the erection enzyme.
But to my ears, they nailed what onboard crappy audio sounds like.
Strangely, every video I post talking about this gets taken down, probably thanks to the pharmaceutical industry that doesn't want to lose its profits.
Yeah, so we're conspiracy grifting and we're censor grifting in one video.
It will make your buddy firm in a completely natural way. Forget pills and pumps. According to scientists from the University of Pennsylvania,
well, at least it wasn't Penn State.
Just click the blue Learn More button that should be showing on your screen now. Click and watch, but find a private spot because the video contains some spicy scenes. Tomorrow, you'll wake up with your buddy standing tall. Tomorrow, you'll wake up with your buddy standing tall.
Who's that guy?
Well, here we are again.
I've sort of been dancing around this topic, but as I said previously, these are all presumably real people given the time that these ads came out. Now, if each of their likenesses or the video itself, if they, created the video, that's their video, they have ownership of it. Now, if it was used with their informed consent about how it was going to be used and what things were going to be said, then there really isn't anything to look at here other than the evolution of what now, to our eyes, is a pretty primitive lip sync generator. However, if this is stolen content and the person did not give informed consent that their likeness was going to be used to say horrible, demeaning things in a boner scam ad, then this is crossing a huge moral and legal line. Now, I hesitate to compare it to like slander or libel because this is different, because with those you're saying, or you're publishing, that someone else did something or said something that they didn't. But here you've fabricated someone saying something that they never said. I mean, I have to wonder, at what point does this constitute defamation? Now, disclaimer, I am not a lawyer, but I hope that all the people in these videos, if they don't have a lawyer, at least they know a lawyer so that they can figure this out. Because I feel like this is a huge can of worms that needs to get sorted out by people that are way smarter and more qualified than me, that, to be honest, are probably using AI to write all of their arguments anyway. So these kind of died down for a while, and I'm sure a few slipped through the cracks and I wasn't able to record them, but this age of AI ads had more or less passed. But as is often the case when any dominant organism dies out, a new one inevitably evolves to take its place.
Continued in part 2.